Hi there, welcome to Hey Sound Guy, the podcast where I'll be peeking behind the curtains of the wonderful world of music. Each week I will be speaking to engineers, music industry professionals and musicians. We'll share some fun stories from the road. Now, my next guest is a fantastic engineer. He worked for a company called Sound Network, which are the representatives of DPA microphones in the UK. He was head of sound at the Union Chappel. He runs a training website called Karno Sound. It's KARNO sound.com, and you can check him out there. He's currently on tour with a gentleman called Charlie Cunningham, and there are loads of fun stories about that. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Les Mommsen.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me in here.
Thank you very much for coming.
Cool.
I appreciate it. It's a bit of a trek for you.
Oh, it was good. It's nice to sit on a train for a while.
Of course, yeah. Read a book or something.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well,
Brilliant.
A book these days is a mobile phone.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
Less things to carry around.
Definitely, yeah.
How I like to start normally is if you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this lovely world of sound engineering.
Cool. So my name's Les. I'm a freelance sound engineer. Mainly doing live events, but also bits of studio work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. How I got into sound engineering is kind of probably a very common story for most engineers. I was a bass player. Was yeah. I mean, I still have a bass. I still have a bass guitar.
Well, there you go. So you're still a bass player.
Haven't done any gigs for a long time. On that side of the stage at least. Playing bass was my thing. I wanted to, do the whole getting a band, become famous, tour the world, all that kind of rubbish.
Don't we all?
And that didn't work out for various reasons, mostly financial. The solution to the financial bits was unloading trucks at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that led on to unloading trucks and then operating mixing desks. And next thing you know, I'm a sound engineer. That's pretty much how that started about probably 20 years ago now. Right. Yeah.
So how did you, who did you start to work with when you were doing unloading trucks and stuff? Was it, did you do crewing?
Bits of crewing. I think, what were they called? Conference crew and connection crew. I can't really remember the names, but yeah. That was when I first came to London. Before that, I'd, with some friends, set up, in inverted commas, a PA company in Zimbabwe, which was basically gear that we borrowed and stole, and no matching speakers, nothing like that, and put on parties and mixed bands and stuff like that.
Awesome.
For fun kind of thing.
In Zimbabwe. Are you
yeah.
from Zimbabwe?
I'm born in Zimbabwe. Went to school in South Africa. Went back to Zimbabwe. Came to England.
Right.
So yeah.
Where in Zimbabwe?
Harare. Born in Bulawayo, but grew up in Harare.
Nice, man.
So, yeah, it was
fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
Right. And then, so was that sort of in high school, after high school sort of time, or when did you do that?
After high school, so probably around 19, 20 years old, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said 1920. I'm like,
oh, no.
Wow, you carry your age very well,
I've
man.
got grey in my beard, man, but yeah, not that old.
Brilliant. Yeah, well done. Okay, so you did that, and then you came to London.
Then I came to London.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's the exodus that most Zimbabweans make. I
bet. Things
Zimbabwe's a country
aren't
you
great
want to get
there.
out of for some reason when you're 20 years old. So,
well, yeah, a lot of people get out of there for all sorts of reasons,
absolutely.
Unfortunately. Yeah. I've got a few Zimbabwean friends, and the story is pretty much all the same.
Yeah.
There's some harrowing stories of people losing their farms and stuff.
Yeah.
Just the going to church on Sunday morning, and then they come back, and then there's a group of people with AKs on the porch. Yeah. Everything's locked up, and they just had to basically leave with the clothes they had on their back.
Yeah.
Which is it's such a shame, man. I mean, I went when I was 11 in 1994. We went hunting in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
My dad and I and a group of friends.
Cool.
And till today, that was probably one of my best experiences that I've ever had. I mean, it was 10 days of absolute wilderness. It was, and yeah, I mean, we've had some stories. We, my old man and I, because every day somebody would stay back and prepare lunch for everybody that's gone out hunting. And then when they come back, then we eat lunch and then we'll go out together. So we stayed back the day. It's just two of us and one of the guides. And we're like, well, let's just take a little walk, see if we can find something here. And we're about 200 meters outside the camp. The camp was basically just... the vehicles were stopped and there was a fire burning. There was a tarpaulin on the floor with 11 sleeping bags. Yeah. And that was the camp. And then obviously a meat dry area because we went for a meat hunt.
Right.
So yeah, there was a bunch of stuff there. I know, this was like day 7 or something. And as we turned to cross this dry riverbed, which is probably about maybe 25 meters across, we just hear this leopard.
Yeah.
And it starts charging at us.
Shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took my dad 4 shots to get it.
Wow.
To get it down, and it finally fell basically where that door is from me.
Yeah.
Just and yeah, I mean, it was, you know, it's not like we went out looking to kill a leopard, but it was, you know, it was him or us basically, kind of thing. Yeah. And I mean, I was a kid. I was 11, so my dad was just in full protection mode.
Yeah, totally.
And so afterwards, we'd skinned it, and we'd realized why it was so angry, because it wasn't a fully grown leopard. It was still quite tall and would have done serious damage. But yeah, so somebody had shot it,
right,
and left it, and it was wounded. Right, so it was proper pissed off, and it had the right to be pissed off, as you can imagine. Yeah. Not a good shot. It was basically just a graze atop its back. Wow. So it was still fully mobile and everything, and it wasn't, but still it was in pain. So there happened that.
Wow.
And we had a pride of lions walk over us as we slept one night, because we had a sentry. That, you know, one of us would sit there, stoke the fire, and sit there with a gun and the torch, because I mean, it's open and wild as you get. Yeah. And on the first night, my dad shot a kudu, and we hung it up in the tree, and about 30 meters away from us, you know, and we hear the hyenas, and then we shine a light over there, and there's 3 hyenas jumping, trying to get at this thing. So it's as wild as you're going to get. Yeah. Anyway, so the sentry fell asleep. Next morning we woke up, and as I said before, we were sleeping in a row, 11 of us with our sleeping bags like that. And in between each of us, we found lion paw prints that are about yay big. So they'd walked over us as we'd slept, just to check us out. What is this? What are these strange creatures that are here, that are making all this noise and making all this stink? Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I guess we're lucky in the sense that none of us woke up, because if we disturbed them, maybe it would have gone down differently.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good time. We had a great time there, and it's a shame what's happened to Zimbabwe. I don't know if there's a way out in the.
It's a beautiful country. And it is. It's full of beautiful people. You know, I was lucky in that I had the means and the money to get out. Lots of people didn't, you know.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But it's still one of the best places to have grown up. I think, you know,
100%.
That wildness, you don't really get anywhere else.
No, you don't.
That ability to, you know, be 30, 40 minutes outside of a city, and, you know, you're seeing wild animals that, you know, you don't get anywhere else.
Exactly.
Well, not that you don't get them anywhere else. You don't get them that close to where you sort of built up urban areas and that sort of thing. So yeah, absolutely beautiful place. But, you know, maybe one day I'll go back, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Go retire there.
Yeah.
If we ever get to retire, that's my biggest thing.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, no, I'll work to the day I fall over, probably.
Probably the
same. Lovely. So you came to London in what's it, early 2000s?
Yeah, 2001.
Right.
September 13th, 2001.
Well, there you go.
I remember it. It was a Friday the 13th.
2 days after the big event over the water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking hell, man. That was I remember. I went and worked in America 2002, and the atmosphere was thick.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Especially like where we were in the Midwest is kind of sort of like the rural areas, and people were ready to get up in arms.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, but good times.
What were you doing out there?
I was working on a custom harvest crew.
Okay.
So our boss had a company that harvested people's crops all over the Midwest. Mm-hmm. We started in Oklahoma, then we went to Kansas, then we went to Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota. So a lot of driving around, and then a lot of corn and wheat and flax and mustard and all sorts of everything.
That's a cool experience, though.
It was. Yeah. It was long days. I went with two of my mates, which was good. I mean, I learned a lot about myself there, even because didn't ever really work when I was in high school and all these sorts of things. And I think I might have been, apart from going to the gym and doing my rugby, I was probably a bit lazy. And then to be thrust into that environment where it's like go.
Yeah.
It was good.
Backbreaking, I should imagine.
Well, I mean, not physically, no.
Yeah.
No, because you're in the seat of a combine, 16 hours a day.
Cool.
It's maybe lonely, if anything else. Yeah. Even though we had two-way radios and we would chat, but you get going and you get grafting, and then there's not so much chatting going around.
Yeah. Because
you end up you cut about this far off the ground.
Yeah.
And it's a 36-foot header here, so you gotta patrol, keep an eye on it the whole time, because if you pick up a rock, it's going to break the machine. And,
right, yeah.
They're quite expensive.
Yeah. Well, there's not many sound engineers who can drive a combine harvester, so...
maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I learned to drive trucks out there as well, which is cool. Great, articulated trucks.
Awesome.
And, I mean, the boss's method was just, like, get in it and drive.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Best way to learn.
Best way to learn, yeah, totally.
In the deep end. Yeah, so did that for 7 months, and came back in the winter, and then I was going to go back, but I don't think my boss and I saw eye to eye really on a lot of things, and a couple of the guys I met over there, they're like, well, we're going to go to London next year. Why don't you come along if you don't want to come back here? And I was like, all right, I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
And then none of them came. I came up myself. That's how it goes, cool. Right?
Yeah.
But
and still stuck here.
Still here, bro.
Yeah.
Still here. Cool. Yeah. No, London's been good and bad.
Yeah.
Tough times in the beginning. I remember working construction, not getting paid.
Yeah.
Having a budget of £10 a week, and £8.70 of that was my weekly bus pass, and then there's like 3 loaves of bread for the rest of the week.
Yeah. Wow.
So those were hard days.
Paying your dues.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But we made it through, and we're here now.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Cool.
Did you when you arrived? What did you get straight into the crewing? Did you
no, do the not straight away,
work and all the waitering work as the rest of us do?
Yeah, no, I did pretty much anything and everything. I was an au pair for a year.
Oh, brilliant.
So looking after a family's 2 kids, taking them to school, making sure they did their homework, all that kind of stuff.
Man.
But
in London?
In London, yeah.
Right.
So I'd sort of get up in the morning, get them ready, take them to school, come back, drop the car off, go to one of my 3 other part-time jobs, which was, either working in a bookshop or working in a pub or carrying furniture, all that kind of stuff. And then in the afternoon, go back, collect them, bring them back home,
and then you go to your third. To your third part-time job.
Evening, go to another job, and rinse and repeat 7 days a week, kind of thing. So
brilliant.
Did that for a while. Probably, I got one job in a sort of retro furniture store where the guy who ran the store was a sound engineer.
All right.
And sort of started doing more crewing work whilst I was there, and then the sort of typical. How you get a gig story. One engineer didn't show up. He got a call asking if he could help. He couldn't do it, but sent me down, green as anything. Basically, not knowing what a compressor or a graphic equalizer was. And just told to mix 4 bands. They arriving in 15 minutes. You know, so.
there you go.
So, yeah, sink or swim. So
nice one, man.
Yeah,
and you swam. You're still here.
Well, I mean, I think no one complained. Put it that way.
Hey,
So,
bro.
Yeah.
You know, for a first gig,
Yeah.
fuck it, you did well, bro.
Yeah,
and as I said, you're still here.
True.
How many years on? You know,
Yeah,
it's a testament.
Yeah, for my
because
sins, I think. Yeah.
a lot of people, they would break a lot easier. You know, I think there was one, the one that I've basically just released now, with a fantastic singer that I work with, Christy Karofsky, and she's got a website called The Real Human.
Okay.
And it's about the stresses and the pressures that are involved in our business. And one article in particular which I read, which prompted me to get her on, was about resilience.
Yeah.
You know, on both sides of the table of in our industry, you know, musicians. I think probably for musicians it might be probably even harder because there are so many more of them out there.
Yeah.
You know, everybody and his dog thinks that they can sing or they can do that or they can do that. And the part where the resilience comes in is just sifting the corn from the chaff. You know, if you'd have broken at that stage, then you would have just gone on to do something else and you wouldn't have been a sound engineer. But you stuck to your guns and you're like, listen, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And you took it on. And, well, I think we're all happy that you are here.
Awesome. Oh,
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good testament.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I'd definitely like to check out her website. So I'll get those details from before we go.
It's in the description on the YouTube and on the every
Cool.
all the. Yeah, she's fantastic, Bournemouth based, and yeah, really really good. I think another reason. I mean, initially I started this thing just it's for fun,
yeah,
and it still is. You know, I just want to have a chat and get to know my colleagues and friends, because when do we get to sit down and have a chat for an hour or 2 hours or whatever?
Exactly, yeah.
Where it's just the two of us. We're locked in. We've got headphones, and there's no phones, there's no work, there's no other distractions.
Yeah, yeah.
And we really can get to know each other, because even which I've found with people that I've known for a long time, there's so much about them that I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because when do you get to have these conversations? And so yeah, it's a good thing to just and hopefully it can then inspire those who see it to not give up immediately. You know, aspiring engineers, aspiring musicians.
Yeah.
When I point them to these websites, or when they look at this and they listen to us talk, and they hear the same thread throughout, because everybody that I've spoken to has gone through 2-3 jobs doing this on the side because you're passionate about it, and not sleeping and doing the shit gigs and sleeping on floors in somebody's flat when you're out on tour, things like that. We've all gone through the same sort of process.
Yeah.
And just to know that if this is really your passion, if this is really what you want to do, stick with it.
Yeah.
Because it will get better.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then maybe this isn't the job for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of it is all about connections and people. We all get work through people who know us, who recommend
100%.
us. And that's the thing that takes time to build, and the reason why you have to do gigs you don't necessarily want to do, or do certain types of shows when really all you're interested in is another side of the industry or something like that. So it's not easy, and it's thinking it's going to be easy or going to be great from the word go kind of thing is probably the quickest way to become disillusioned with it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's still not easy. We're still doing shit gigs.
Absolutely.
It's
still doing load-ins and load-outs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, resilience that's something I struggle with a lot still to this day. It's like
man, all of us do.
Wondering sort of. I think it's probably more of a learning to look after yourself in this industry. Learning to sort of know when you need a break, when to take time off. Especially as a freelancer, we tend to say yes to everything because it might not come again, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So and these are still lessons I'm trying to figure out. That sort of learning to take a holiday, which my girlfriend helps me with a lot by getting angry with me when I haven't for a while. So
but because the thing is, you go, it's like month to month, and you just, I got to get this and I got to get that, and then before you know it, it's 2 years since you've taken a holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's happened.
Yeah. And like you said, which is part of the reason why I wanted to be on this is because I've known you probably 4 or 5 years now, maybe longer.
I think it's longer. It's about 7 years,
and we've never had that chat. When we talk about microphones or the gig that we're doing or whatever it is. We never get to know people on a sort of more personal level. And I think that's the one side that suffers a bit in this industry is our friends are people who do the same thing we do, and our friends are as busy as we are.
Yeah, so we don't even know them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, so commend you for taking the time to do this, man.
Cool, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. No, it's been getting positive sort of reactions. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, it's really, what I thought is like, I know so many fucking cool people, right? But I want to present you all to the world. Yeah. So people get to know you as well. In the gigs that you did, and also maybe it can get you, this guy, he's got experience with that, so maybe we can get him in, or just whatever. It's just to make us as well a little bit more personable, because people go to gigs, they see the band on stage, great gig, fantastic, and then they go away. But then if something goes wrong, this fucking guy, and they don't understand what the complications are, what it could have been, all the work that goes in beforehand and afterwards. And as as we said, the personal sacrifices we make and the struggles we have ourselves. We're not some kind of fucking robot that just sits back there, and we've got real world issues as well. Totally. And sometimes we have to eat a lot of shit from musicians who are themselves having a hard time. And I think a lot of our job, one of the time-earned skills is being able to deal with those people and to kind of step back for a second and think, okay, wait, this isn't personal. These people, especially if you're working with acts who don't tour an engineer, which we get a lot of. Are you still at the Union Chappel?
No, not there anymore.
Okay, but I mean, from when you were working at the Union Chappel, you get bands come through there. It's a rotation, and they can be big bands or small bands in terms of fame or or the longevity of their career. But for whatever reason, they don't have the budget to tour an engineer, so they have to deal with, and sometimes they're fortunate in that they get to a venue where people are on top of it and willing to help. Because that's another thing. Not all sound engineers are always very willing to help, which I don't understand, because I see our job as a service job.
Absolutely.
I'm not there for me. I'm the very last person I'm trying to satisfy, even though I'm the first person that I'm trying to satisfy, but I'm the last one who fucking matters, really. First of all is the band, then there's the crowd, and then it's me.
Cool.
But saying that I'm the first person and the last person, because if I do a good job for the band and for the people, I'm doing it for me and for them. Because, 2 reasons: you're only as good as your last gig. And also, my name's writing on this. I want to do a good job. Otherwise, I'm not going to sleep tonight. You know that. Know that where you fucked it up, and it happens. We're just human. But then how to deal with those things and how to bounce back. Not be too hard on yourself. So I definitely do recommend that you check that website out. Cool. There's tons of articles on there, and it's got a lot to do with how to deal with the stresses, your emotions, the highs and the lows. Because as she had said, she played, she did with an electronic, she calls it happy hardcore,
right,
which is like fast trance type thing, whatever. I didn't quite understand exactly what it was, but she was singing with this DJ, and she performed Glastonbury and Festival in front of 10,000 people, right, and then 3 months later she got asked to do a gig in a Starbucks, where the only two people that were there were her parents. And the cleaner started cleaning halfway through a gig. You understand? So those highs and lows, I mean, that is it's the extremes. So how to deal with those things? Because we've also had great gigs and then toilet gigs. And just stick with it if this is what you want to do.
I mean, I think well, I mean, just to go through some of the points you made there, I totally agree. Like, we are in a service industry. That's what we do. Maybe slightly different order. I would put the audience first before the band, which often gets me into trouble. And I guess those two are kind of, they can interchange, because in order for the audience to have the experience that they deserve, because they're the ones paying the tickets.
Fair enough.
The band have to be in a good place. And in order for them to perform, in order to deliver the performance required. But ultimately, none of us would be there, from the venue managers to the promoters to us to the band, unless people are buying tickets for gigs.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So ultimately, everything is in service of providing people with value for money. And who gets to make that call sometimes is frustrating, and where that value sits is sometimes frustrating. But ultimately, I think over my career at least, what was considered a good gig 20 years ago to what's considered a good gig today has definitely been improving and getting better. And I feel like the industry is heading in the right direction in terms of live music, at least. Venues have improved, gear has improved, everything's sort of getting better all the time. So that makes our jobs easier and makes us better able to support the musicians and provide to the audience what they deserve as well. On that front, though, I came up with a sort of self-inflicted policy on commenting on gigs, even if it is only to myself. Before, I'd go to a gig where I'm not working, and I'd be like a little bit annoyed that I can't hear the voice, or can't hear the guitar on stage right, or whatever, the mix isn't as I would do it, or all that kind of stuff.
We all do that.
And I sort of I've done a sort of like check yourself kind of mental thing in my head, that every time I start going down that route, I just go like, nope, haven't been here all day. For me to have an opinion on this at all, I need to load in and do the gig all the way through to load out, and then I can say whether something was done well or not.
That's right.
Until that point, I don't know what the front of house engineer or the monitor engineer, or
what they're going through,
what they've had to deal with, what the band's having to deal with, who made a bad decision 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, that has led to the scenario that they find themselves in
100%
now. So so I try not to think too negatively about other people's gigs in that sense. Flip side of that is, I think very critically of my own gigs. So when I don't do something right, very hard on myself for that, which I guess is important, because it inspires improvement, or makes me less likely to do the same shit again.
Self-reflection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is important. It's good to look back at the stuff you do and go, I could have done this better by doing it like this, and then trying to achieve that. Doesn't stop you making mistakes, though. It doesn't stop you fucking up gigs. That's something I'll probably do until the day I retire or die.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen that happen with engineers who are many years my senior. And not just in age, but also in terms of being in the industry. Sometimes silly little things. And it's, as you said, you haven't been there at 7 a.m. I mean, with these sorts of gigs, I would have been, because I was there from the load-in. But it's more... And then also on a personal level, you don't know what this guy's going through. Maybe he's got something back home that's not quite right, and his attention isn't fully there. He's done this band 100 times, and he's sort of like on autopilot, and then something slips up. Hey man, shit happens. And that's the whole thing about the live gig. You're not there to listen to a CD.
Yeah.
Otherwise we can do that.
Yeah.
We can stick on a fucking DVD of the band playing.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
There won't be any mistakes, but there won't be any vibe. There won't be any, because every single concert it's like this moment in time.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have that forever.
Yeah.
And if it's almost, I'm not saying that we should make mistakes, but it's almost like when mistakes get made and they get fixed in a timely fashion, and then it's almost like a bigger victory than everything running smoothly.
Yeah.
We always aim for everything to run smoothly all the time, but as I always say as well, is we're not there for when things go right.
Yeah.
We're there for when things go wrong,
Yeah,
and we need to
absolutely.
fix them.
Yeah.
Because when things go right, the chef can push the faders, no problem, right? But when things go wrong, he's going to be like, getting back to my burgers.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
I'll see you later.
Going back to that less stressful job I got back there.
That's right. Yeah, of cooking for 500 people.
Yeah,
Fuck
exactly.
that. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
No, I mean when I talk about the band coming first is on stage for them, making them comfortable.
Absolutely.
So that they can do their job.
Yeah.
Because yes, the punchers are, they're the ones that buys the tickets.
Yeah.
But if the band aren't comfortable on stage, then they, that holds them back.
Absolutely.
And then it brings us around to the sound engineer that's, you don't know what he's going through.
Yeah, yeah.
It's happened plenty of times when we've had bands, flights cancelled or delayed.
Yeah.
They get there 10 minutes before doors,
Yeah.
and it's an 8-piece band, and
Yeah.
they've got electronics and everything. And fortunately, we were there, and we'd set things up as best we could. But they've got things that they got to run through, and then that just throws them off from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to work with them to try and then also, yes, the crowd, they're there to see the music. So we got to then say, sorry guys, we can probably hold doors for 5 minutes, but we are going to have to open. There's a line down the fucking street.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you guys are professionals. You've done this before. Trust in us.
Yeah.
I know it's a difficult thing because you've just walked in. You don't know me from any other guy.
Yeah.
But that is one thing which I've always aimed, well, in the last few years, definitely, aimed at whenever a band walks in, I would walk up to them and I would introduce myself, shake their hand, say, hey, I'm T, I'm your sound guy.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever you need, we can do it. Talk to me, let's communicate, let's make this fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that gives them a bit more confidence. Just, you're not the guy slinking in the corner or you're on your phone or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the eye contact as well when they're on stage. Such an important thing to put them at ease so that they can do their job. It's one less thing that they have to worry about.
Yeah.
Because if this guy he comes up and he's a bit unsure, and maybe you have the time to do a sound check and there's feedback and there's this and he can't figure it out, then you're like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've
totally.
experienced that on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, where you're like, Jesus, what? I don't know how we're gonna get through this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a difficult psychological process, sound check, especially where a band doesn't know anyone, or if you're traveling with a band, there's a monitor engineer or house crew, or whatever it is. So many times you get a situation where, because of, and I've probably been guilty of this many times as well, where because of your how you present yourself to the people in the room, like you said, going up and shaking hands, if you miss your cue for that and then it becomes awkward, or you're slightly nervous, or you're a bit shy, or whatever it is, all these things which are legitimate feelings, I guess, to have, if we can use the word feelings around sound engineers. I don't know, we're a hardened bunch.
Well, we have to be.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I don't think necessarily that these situations arise on purpose. They can just happen by chance. Kind of thing.
Absolutely. You're busy programming a desk and they walk in and they start sound checking, and then you're like, okay.
But that sort of, that moment of not getting to break the ice and not instilling instant confidence in that sort of like first impressions last moment, then suddenly something as simple as, a bit of feedback becomes a major issue, because you aren't given the freedom to investigate what's causing it. You're immediately shut down by their lack of confidence
because
in you.
the stage becomes this sort of locked room where you can't even enter into.
Exactly. Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah. And then you know, because you don't have the ability to source what that issue is fundamentally, you know, it's going to keep recurring, even though you can stop it that one time. It's going to keep happening. You know, you have to have the trust of everybody there to be able to make things sound terrible for a while. You know, make things kick off and feedback and make the system unstable. So you can find out what those places are and either not venture there later, or you know, sort those problems out if they're solvable. You know,
well, I think I'll go back to, you know, communication in that time. I mean, it has happened to me a few times when this exact thing. I'm busy programming the desk. The band walks in, they get straight on stage, and I didn't have that chance to go and like, hey. But in those cases, what I do is I just jump on the microphone. I'm like, hey guys, back here, T, make a little joke or something. You know, I'm good at being a clown.
Good job.
Something then there, and when these things do occur, the communication is absolute key. When you say, even if you don't know which monitor it came from or whatever, you're like, just a second, guys, where was that coming from? If you don't know, if you do know, if you like, okay, singer, just a second, I know what that frequency is. Can you cover your ears? I'm just going to push it a little bit. You know, if you bring that communication and then you fix the problem, that kind of then brings it back to, all right, here's the confidence we can give you. He's talking to us. He's not afraid of us. Because especially for younger engineers, and myself included, when I was younger and I was nervous and I was not quite sure of my abilities, I would immediately sort of freeze up, and then, you know, the band gets the antsy, and then you're like, oh, this isn't going to work. But I found in recent years that communication is absolute key. If you fuck it up, then say, guys, I'm sorry, I fucked it up, but I know what I did, and I'm fixing it right now. Okay. And even if it takes you 5 minutes, say to them, listen, go grab a coffee, because this is going to take me a little while. I just got to pinpoint this out. And I think bands do appreciate that. And it goes further in, you know, building a relationship. And, you know, sometimes you get like you said, we're, you know, tough-skinned. But even that is a time-learned skill. Totally. Something that you gotta, because sometimes we do get artists which are difficult, and notoriously so. You know, who have reputations that precede them. And even then, it's hard sometimes to go there and say, listen, hey, I'm your guy, whatever. But I always find a good, you know, strike first offense instead of a defense.
Totally.
In that sense. Where I have had a once or twice some artists who are, you know, notoriously difficult to work with, and with them, that I made an absolute point. The very first thing, as soon as they walk in the door, and like almost corner them, like, hey, let's work on this together. You know, whatever it is that you need, talk to me, explain things to me. You know, well, this is a new relationship we're forming now. So let's work on this together and make it a great show, because that's what we're here for. And then, you know, I've got the oh, I like you. Let's work on this together.
That's cool. It's definitely something I can probably, you know, and probably will do for the rest of my career. Still need to work on, is that you know, building that instant rapport kind of thing, which is probably the hardest bit of the job, I reckon. It is. You know?
It is. And like you said, sometimes you miss your cue, and then it's hard to like find the moment. Because also a band who are on tour together, it's a tight knit little group, and they can sometimes be a little bit, have closed borders a little bit, and it's hard to get into that. And also you don't want to go in there and be like the annoying guy, or you know, the you know, like a little puppy, and then make you that basically brings your image down of who you are as a professional.
Yeah.
You know, you got to carry yourself in a certain way, but be forceful without being forceful of entering into their circle.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and like you said, you don't know what they've gone through, and they don't know what you've gone through.
Yeah.
Like the engineers who's had a shit day. You know, it's everybody's got, and on a different day it can be a different thing.
Totally.
So yeah, it's something that we just need to work on. It's just a continual growth process that we all go through. Tell me a little bit about your bass playing days.
Oh yeah, those heady days. So yeah, I mean, bass playing is something I kind of fell into as well.
Okay.
You know, started playing guitar with friends at school. You know, we decided to form a band. There were two of them who played guitar, and I was probably the newest addition to the.
That's why you had to grab the bass.
Yeah, so like I was the worst guitar player in the room, so pick up a guitar with less strings. You know, you play that one kind of thing.
One note at a time.
So yeah, but loved it. I loved the simplicity of it. In not that the bass is a simple instrument, more the simplicity of the thinking, and that everything's grounded. Everything's about holding things together. You're sort of like a keystone kind of thing. So sort of loved that aspect of it. Then moved back to Zimbabwe, and I guess my formative musical years, if I can call them that, was spent there, and a lot of the music there is a kind of fusion of lots of different cultural backgrounds and sort of music that's travelled from Central Africa, music that's travelled up from South Africa. So it's kind of like this mesh of like from very traditional music. Traditional Zimbabwean music through to sort of rock and metal and stuff like that, and how all of that comes together.
Wow!
So a lot of the bands are sort of rock, reggae, Afro fusion kind of things. So listening to a lot of that music and playing a lot of that music sort of made me a more dexterous bass player, or busy, depending on what you need from a bass player. Then came over to England. Wanted to essentially be a session musician, and I think that's where probably I was probably a good enough bass player to be in a band and play stuff that I know and I'd rehearsed, but not a good enough bass player to be a first call, come in, nail the gig kind of bass player.
Do you read music?
I could read music, but very slowly. I couldn't sight read. I could, if you gave me the sheet of music and say,
I'm the same. This song, I can read it and I can work it out and I can then go and play it,
exactly,
but not in the moment.
In the moment, yeah. So there was lots of things that I should have worked on, and then because I had to earn a living and pay rent and all that kind of stuff, didn't have the time. So sort of working to afford to play meant I was never able to put the effort in to be able to play
it the other way around.
So it was relatively short-lived when I came to London. Probably gave up on it after quite a long period. But I went from like gigs being the main focus, playing gigs as a bass player being the main focus, to becoming a bit more of a weekend warrior,
right?
For a while, and then probably haven't done a gig. Again, probably 10 years now, I reckon. Right. Yeah, so maybe not that long. I don't know. Time seems to go faster the older you get.
My God, man. I know, it's already February.
I know, tell me about it.
Hell, it's insane.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with that. It seems to be going faster because, I mean, it feels like yesterday my daughter was born and she's 7.
Yeah.
It's just like, where has this time gone?
That's crazy, yeah.
Very little sleep and lots of work and it just goes, man. All right. So what bands were you playing in? What kind of music were you doing?
I sort of like my main passion, I guess, at that stage was the wide genre of world music, for want of a better term. So Afrofusion stuff, playing trying to play jazz, but generally resorting to sort of more groovy jazz, so stuff with less chords in it, basically. You know, and then started doing my own stuff as well towards like the midpoint, like thinking about, I can't make it being someone else's bass player. I'll just write my own stuff, and that was cool for a while. Probably something I should have stuck to. But
well, you can still do it.
I can, yeah. That is the reason why I haven't stuck to it, because I keep saying, next year I'll get back into that. I'll revisit those recordings I did and do another mix. You know, I've gotten as far as getting an EP's worth mastered.
Nice, man.
And that's just sitting on a hard drive somewhere. But one day.
Why not stick it out there?
When my knees give in, and I can't lift heavy shit anymore. Then
use your bass as a cane.
Exactly, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, man. But the thing is with music, it's once it's yours.
True.
Right. It's not you. Obviously, your playing can maybe deteriorate if you didn't practice enough. But that. Once it's gotten into your bones, it's in there, man. It's just, I mean, myself as well. You see, I've got a bunch of guitars back here, and I don't play nearly as much as I would like to, or in terms of how much I used to play, it's almost nothing. But when I say that, I do write music as well, and I record it. Every now and then I get an idea. And I'd write something, and then I'd record it, and I'd put some lyrics on it, and then I'd put it there, and I've got it. It's there, it's mine. And I can always go back to it, and I do enjoy that. I had the same sort of aspirations of wanting to be Angus Young. And practice really hard, and then I got into guys like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, and I wanted to just progress, and my best friend, also an incredible musician, pianist, primary instrument, but guitar also very, very good. And he went to an art school, Pro Arte, in Pretoria. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's like an art school. He went there for music, so he's had this sort of regimented approach to practice and these sorts of things, which I never really had, and I tried to implement that, but then again, having to work to play, it took a priority, as it does, and I suppose if it was more of a priority, and maybe if it was my destiny, I would have stuck with it. But I think my destiny had other plans.
Totally.
Here I am doing this. And I'm super fortunate to be doing this, because this is the job that I've always wanted to do. So, but we'll always have our music. It'll always be there, and we can always always revisit it and go back to it.
It still probably informs every decision I make to a certain extent, on the technical side of working in the music industry, so I think it's not an essential platform to enter into the technicalities of doing live music or recording, but very beneficial.
It helps
depending on obviously where you're going to be in that industry. So it's definitely something that I'm very glad that I did. And will one day do again, so long as I keep that thought in my head.
Man. So. It's the the three stages of creation, right? It's the thought, the word, and then the deed. You think about it enough, you're going to start talking about it. You talk about it enough, you're going to start doing it. Sometimes the talking takes years.
That's true.
But eventually you will get to the doing stage. If the fire doesn't burn bright enough, you're going to stop talking about it.
Exactly.
And then obviously that wasn't meant to be for you. But if there's something that it burns inside you, then eventually you are going to reach step 3 of creation. So just keep that fire burning, man. Just
well,
keep
you've got
me
talking about it now, so I'm one step closer.
There you go, brother. Just keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. I mean, but you said you've got some things mastered. Just put them out there. It doesn't cost you anything.
True.
It costs, once it's out there,
it costs me time and the sort of psychological aspect of it, of where you instantly self-doubt, what happens if nothing happens with it, what does that mean, all that kind of stuff, which is kind of silly because nothing's going to happen to it unless you put it out. So
that is true.
It's like it's basically that pointless sort of merry-go-round of sort of getting to a point where you go like yes, and then immediately switching direction and going back towards the no.
Really?
Yeah.
It happens, man.
Yeah,
it really does.
So.
But I think maybe we're sort of the, I don't want to say older generation of thinking in that terms, because I myself, to put these things out, I'm very, very fragile and very sensitive. But this has taught me a lot as well. And I think the younger generations are a bit more, in those terms, they're a bit more resilient because they just fucking put everything out there. Right? And they just got no shame. Or whatever. I mean, I'm generalizing, but what I mean, we're a bit more reserved with the things that we share.
Totally.
What part of ourselves we give away. And for fear of failure, which is, it's a legitimate fear, and we all have it. But I think more, I don't even know really, because it's, I know it's for me as well. It's very difficult to put these things out, and I've had to get to the point of starting this podcast was a year in the thinking and the talking and the, until I finally said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And there's still this fear, like, oh, what if nobody likes it? And I'm like, I don't care, because what I get out of it far supersedes what I want to get from it. You know what I mean? In terms of, because I get to talk with you, and get to know you, and all the other people that that I've had this with, and that I'm going to have with. And I'm very fortunate in that I'm booked up until June.
Awesome.
Which is great, and people seem to be interested in it, and it's a, we got to put ourselves out there a little bit more. I mean, but it's a thing, when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. When it doesn't, it doesn't, and if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be. Yeah,
totally.
So maybe we should just sort of like let ourselves. Who was I talking to? Ollie McKiernan. In terms of sometimes not fighting so hard against the stream and just letting it take you, you're still going to reach your destination. You're going to get, if you imagine swimming across a river and you want to go straight across, but there's a current, you're going to end up over there and you fought your ass off. Whereas if you just went with the current, you're still going to get over there, and then you just walk up the bank. You're going to get to where you're going to go. There might be a little bit more extra at the end, but and sort of taking in what you've got at the moment, because I think a lot of the times we live for our future selves a lot. And then we forget to enjoy what we've got right now.
Totally. Yeah, I'm a fan of the slow burn. I don't do anything, tend not to do anything in a hurry in terms of anything that ultimately ends up being successful or, gets me to a good place. So, I think those more measured approaches are certainly beneficial. It does sort of exclude you from those, I guess maybe it doesn't, being those moments where you leapfrog 7 steps in one go kind of thing. If you constantly taking the cautious approach, then maybe you don't open yourself up to those moments necessarily. But then at the same time, the process of getting there is what makes you better. So, for me personally, that's how I feel, and maybe that's a cop out, but it's worked for me so far. So,
But I think maybe in this way, the foundation that you lay is then solid, rock solid, right? You waited for this, you waited for the cement to dry, and now what you're going to build on top of that is gonna stand, right? And it's like you say, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And then sometimes opportunities present themselves to you, which you can then leapfrog. You can then jump up ahead, and then you're ready for it because that foundation is there and strong. Yeah, it's, I don't know why everybody's in such a hurry all the time.
Yeah, I like taking things slow.
That's the best way to do it.
Even coming here today, I took the long train, which ended up being a train and 2 buses, and but that's fine.
I'm sorry that I live so far.
That's all right, man. I'm sorry I live so far away on the other side. So.
Yeah, shit, man. Yeah. It's funny how London, it can take you less time to get to France.
Yeah.
than it does to get to East London from here.
Oh, no, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate very, very fortunate to be back on my bike and be not on public transport anymore, because when I'd lost the rights to ride for a while, it had definitely gotten to me.
Yeah.
And I think for my mental state, it was quite difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
Because I'd had this freedom, and then it got taken away.
Yeah.
And with the bike, and they took my car license away as well, which is the worst. Something I've had for 18 years.
Yeah.
And I learned to drive when I was 4 years old. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
Back on the farms and stuff.
Yeah.
I learned to ride a bike and learned to drive when I was like 4 years old. You know, I had this old fella, Jabulani. He used to take me on the Yanmar tractor.
Yeah.
And he's like, "There you go, learn to drive."
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
And he took me under his wing, and then it progressed driving cars and pickups and these sorts of things. So it really felt like they had cut off a leg.
Right.
It was something that was part of me for so long, and then all of a sudden it got taken away. So that was a difficult one to get through. But luckily I had a victory. I think common sense kind of won the day.
Yeah. That's good. Not often that happens.
No, it's not. But I mean, I think luckily it went my way. It could have gone the other way because it was an appeal.
Yeah.
The judge could have just said, "No, mate, you broke the law," and that was it.
Yeah.
Which is true. I did, even though I didn't know that I did it.
Right.
I was ill-advised when taking out insurance, and I was just riding with the wrong insurance.
Oh, Jesus.
I wasn't insured for the trip, and they gave me 6 points.
Yeah, straight away.
Straight away,
wow.
And a £650 fine.
Wow.
And it's. But now I know.
Yeah.
And now all of you know. Don't get the wrong insurance.
Way to learn a lesson, but
yeah. But it worked out.
Yeah.
So no, I'm now getting around London is a breeze.
Yeah.
It's a breeze, and it really has. It's kind of like I've reclaimed a little bit of my life, because it takes travel is half the time than it used to be on public transport. I mean, public transport is good for the very many reasons. You can read a book, as you said, read a book on the way in, or you can do some studying. You can. I mean, when I did my degree, I remember I had something like it's one of my biggest assignments that I had to hand in the next day. It was like 8,000 words or something.
Yeah.
Right. And I hadn't started. And I was working for Pinnacle Solutions, doing crewing in Excel Center. Right. And the journey there was 2 hours, and the journey back was 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I managed to fucking ride the whole thing on the train there and back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I fixed it when I got home at night, but it's good for some things. And
definitely,
I suppose it's better for the environment if you think that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those buses are going to ride anyway, whether there's people in them or not.
That is true. Yeah.
But it's the life we got to live.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about some bands that you've worked with. There were highlights. Are you working with a band at present?
So I'm out with a wonderful singer-songwriter called Charlie Cunningham.
Cool.
At the moment, he's kind of I always say reverby synth pop, which he'll hate me for. So it's he plays nylon string guitar and learned flamenco music. Nice. So his sort of chord structures and rhythms are sort of flamenco inspired, I guess. But the songs are just really, really good, solid.
Nice.
Pop songs, for want of a, not poppers in pop music, but poppers, and they're designed to have catchy melodies and nice grooves and stuff like that. So the songs are all based around his guitar playing, and then and there's 2 synth players one of whom plays trumpet. So there's lots of sort of like paddy stuff going on, and
Great, man.
sort of atmosphere being built by those guys, and then a really nice quiet, essentially drummer. So
A quiet drummer.
Yeah.
Where did you find him?
Oh, man, I've been very lucky. I've been very fortunate in my career to more often than not work with quiet drummers, which
Wow.
means I find loud drummers quite frustrating to be in the room with, because I know it's not essential. It doesn't have to be played loud for it to sound great. But not to criticize all 50% of the drumming population out there. So,
Wow.
so that's a really nice gig. He's doing quite well in Germany and Canada.
Wunderbar.
So there's 2 territories which are decent earners, and then everything else is a work in progress. But
Great,
it's building.
Germany is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and
Canada's great as well.
yeah, I haven't been there with him yet. He's only done solo tours out there.
Okay.
But this year we'll be heading out there, which
Nice.
will be cool.
Nice.
Do a lot of festivals in the summer out there, which will be a first, and
Fantastic.
quite exciting.
You're going to do the States as well?
States as well. I do a solo tour with him in April. He's on support with a guy called Patrick Watson.
Nice, man.
So we'll be out doing that, and then go back in June, July for a load of Canadian festival gigs, which are quite spread apart in terms of dates. So
Okay.
they'll be dipping down into the US, I'm sure, for gigs to fill the gaps in between those.
Yeah, nice, man.
Still in the working. So
That's great.
yeah, so that's cool. Keeps me out of trouble, and it's wonderful guys. Great band, great musicians, and great people to hang out with. So
Man, it makes
that's
a
kind
difference,
of like
doesn't it?
a 3 out of 3 tour to get. So that's cool. And then spot gigs, I work with the Papini sisters, who are like a 3-part close harmony.
Are they Italian?
Sort of the lead lady who set the band up is Italian.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like retro swing kind of stuff.
Oh, nice, man.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Like 1930s swing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
Andrew Sisters kind of stuff, which is lovely. And that's essentially a jazz trio and the 3 singers. So very simple gig on the technical side of things, a more complicated gig on the sort of personality side of things. So I TM both these bands and do front of house for them. So one's got a lot more behind the scenes sort of stuff to be done as a TM, less stuff to do as an engineer, and then Charlie is sort of more a lot more technically involved, and they're so easygoing that I get to sort of take my foot off the gas on the TM side of things a little bit. So and then Tricky as well, from Massive Attack.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Played at Ronnie's recently.
Did he? Okay, probably part of his book tour, I think. He's written a book, so he's probably talking about that quite a bit out there. I know you did a Royal Festival Hall show last year sometime.
God damn, I can't remember. But I definitely, I've crossed paths with him recently.
Yeah, cool.
So within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah. He lives out in Berlin now, so get the odd tour with him. Haven't done a gig with him for probably 18 months now. Did some recording with him. Then he's sort of been doing this book thing. There's a couple of tours coming up this year, which calendar permitting, I'll be on. So
Nice one.
yeah,
That's great, bro.
Yeah, just a nice couple of things to sink my teeth into, and and then fill the time with all the other stuff that I try to sort of keep on the sort of all the other plates I try to keep spinning at the same time. So
yeah, that's the trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want to be busy, and you want to have enough fingers in different pies, but not spread yourself too thin. It's such a fine line you got to walk, because you can have 1 or 2 regular gigs that are good, but they're not enough to fill your calendar, and then you got to have other things in. But if you've got too many other things or too many other companies that you work for, you end up saying no to one or the other more than you would like to, or than they would like you to. And then they fall away, and that kind of, it all comes around to that name that you've spent a lot of time building. and they're like, oh, this guy's a flake. He keeps saying no.
Yeah.
Let's maybe not. He's on the bottom of the list. We'll keep him on, because he does a good job, but he says no too many times.
Yeah. So keep him as the last option.
And then you get those last minute calls. But I mean, it's a very fine line you got to walk. I mean, I'm the same. I've got a couple of venues that I work for, which are all year round.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But since there's a sort of a larger pool of engineers, there's only so many work, so much work that can come from that. Than other companies that I worked for. And I mean, I went and worked in the studio doing ADR stuff, dubbing for.
Cool.
My boss works for Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
he's their dubbing supervisor.
Yeah, awesome.
Really genius guy. Speaks 18 languages.
Wow. Okay.
So
I struggle with one.
Mate, it's He even speaks a bit of Afrikaans, which is like all right.
Yeah.
So that was fun. It was good, but it was just sort of like I was restricted in time in terms of it was a daytime job, and I had to be home at night, and you're not going to go out again at 11 o'clock to go do another gig. So it just all piled up and. Got back into the freelance world sort of October.
Okay.
Is when I started this. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it now. I'm gonna have some time in the mornings. I can still do my work in the evenings. That's why I try and do it in the mornings, because we all sort of work afternoon evenings.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if I can catch you guys before you go to work, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
It's
good to have. It's good to have cross pollination into other sides of the industry. I think to like have done a bit of film, sound, or radio, or whatever the other things that are out there. I think quite often we get stuck in the, this is how we do a gig, and we do it the same all the time within reason. It's good to understand how the other elements that sometimes get shoehorned into a live gig, like the broadcast side of things, how they work and what they need. Makes you a more effective engineer on the day, I think.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's also if you paid attention last time the broadcasters were in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because it's very easy to just go like, all right, these guys got it, I'm going to the pub. Which regrettably is the way that I've kind of been up until a point. Yeah. I've now sort of been reinvigorated to put my all into that. And I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine yesterday. We did an install and a D-rig at the National Portrait Gallery.
Cool, yeah.
And in between, you have a break. And he was talking about how he's looking at what's next, what comes after this, because there's a ceiling which you can hit, and then when you hit that ceiling, then you're sort of like, oh, is this still going on? Because I'm doing the same things. Even though we're doing different things, different bands, different venues all the time, but it feels like you're doing the same thing. Yeah. And I just recommended to him, since I started this thing, I've got more fire, more passion for my sound engineering. Yeah. Because I remembered that this is actually, I am fortunate. I'm doing what I want to do. Why am I complacent? Why am I unhappy about it? Because work is something we're always going to have to do. True. Unless, we win the lottery. Yeah. Which I have to play to win. Yeah. So I'm losing, But, if you find another passion, another something that could be related to what you're doing or not at all. Yeah. Because I do other things. I do the archery. Yeah. I make biltong. I do all these other things. Yeah. And those other little passions, I then bring around into my sound engineering again. Yeah. There was a samurai who wrote a book somewhere in the 15th century where he was one of the top samurai. He was like a fucking trained assassin. Right. You wouldn't see him. Yeah. And then you'd be in the next life. Right. But in the book he writes, it's kind of almost, like the Art of War, right? Where he says, be more of an all-round person. he was also a painter and a poet,
Right.
and a singer and a performer.
Yeah.
Because he said all of these things combined makes your primary craft that much richer
Yeah.
and better and more exciting, because you bring all the other elements into it.
Totally.
And I found that is definitely true.
Yeah.
If you ever feel like, oh, this isn't, that's why, pick up that bass, bro.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, you've got great things that you're doing. I like the the 2 keyboards with the trumpet. It kind of feels Latin. As soon as you talk about the trumpet, it just feels like it's got the sort of
It's sort of trumpet is more. I mean, it's definitely not. It's not flamenco music.
No.
It's that there's an inspiration of that in there. But like the trumpet side of things, he's using a lot of effects, and so
Nice.
the technicalities of it are, there's a lot of reverb going on. All the players apart from the drummer have reverb within their setup. So there's all their reverbs going on. There's all the other bits of effects that they sort of add to it. And at front of house, I've got to sort of make sense of that, but then also try and be true to the recorded albums, which is what Charlie wants.
Yeah, man.
And sort of try and bring out elements and add elements to make it closer to the album production.
Yeah. No, obviously you want to try and represent it as much as you can.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So the challenge on that side is essentially how do you get what is ultimately 1, 2, 3, probably about 7 or 8 different reverbs at any one time to make sense in a sort of homogeneous way, and not to sort of overpower and maintain clarity and all that kind of stuff.
So they don't let you deal with the reverb yourself. They've explain the setup for us a little bit.
So there's the one keyboard player is playing a sort of essentially electric piano a lot of the time, and then pads, and he's got a Moog sub-fatty. I think it's a sub-fatty. Yeah. And so he's doing a lot of the bass lines and then pads, and then some of the piano lines. And the other keyboard player has just got a Prophet. And
just a Prophet,
just a Prophet, which he plays bass lines on it. He sets it up to be split key, so he's got bass on his left hand and pads and sort of lead lines on his right hand, and he does trumpet as well. So quite often he'll be playing a bass line and trumpet at the same time and that sort of thing. But both those setups have reverbs and delays and various other effects included in what they send me.
Right.
And that's sort of essentially what they rehearse in a way that they achieve the sound that they're happy with.
Okay.
Without me needing to be there. And then essentially my job is to balance what they have and give back to them, the balance in the room, which is essentially what they're after. But then on top of that, they don't have the time, I guess, to ultimately change reverb patches for every single song to be closer to the album production, or to bring in this one special effect, or to boost this one instrument for
that's
that
where
tune.
you come in.
And essentially that's where my role is to try and take everything that they do, which is homogeneous and works as a sort of put everything to zero, and you've got the mix essentially, and then add all the album production to that, and keep that from getting too busy and too messy, and and keep it under control, because when you got a lot of stuff being fed to effects processors, it's starts to become a little bit unstable.
Yes.
Final thing I need to figure out is how to do distorted drums in a way that doesn't fall apart. So it doesn't need to be like distorted drums, but just adding that bit of sort of distortion to the drum sound is the next thing I'm struggling with. But that's part of the challenge, and why I like it, because there's stuff I don't know how to do that I need to figure out.
No, that sounds
make it make sense and work.
Yeah, that sounds great, man.
Yeah,
so I'd love to check them out. If we'll add the links in the description.
Totally. Yeah.
To all these bands that you're working with.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, man. And you say you're still working with the DPA stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your DPA career.
Yeah.
I love those microphones.
Yeah,
I think they're the best.
They are special. Yeah. Definitely. So the DPA relationship started when I was head engineer at Union Chappel, which essentially came about through basically being told there's no money to do anything, and me wanting to make things better. So I approached through somebody I'd actually used to rent microphones off when I was doing recordings of jazz bands in my dilapidated studio flat at the time. So I used to rent microphones off this old school bass player called Dill Katz, which is a fantastic name. And he was a wonderful bass player and a wonderful man as well. He used to sort of come and drop off a load of Neumanns and 4-on-4s and stuff like that for me to use every time I had a session. And he knew one of the guys at Sound Network who were the distributors for DPA microphones at the time. And then I was speaking to Dill one day and I mentioned that I worked at Union Chappel. And next thing, I know there's an email from Dill saying, this is my friend at Sound Network. They're interested in having a venue on their...
For the Sound Network get-together.
Well, no, it was more for, they wanted to push DPA microphones outside of the classical music market, and they're looking for a venue that would be suitable. I thought Union Chappel would be great, so here I'm introducing you guys.
Nice.
This was Dill saying these things. So that's how I got in touch with Sound Network, and essentially it came about with basically me not having money to buy decent microphones, and them being in a position where they were looking to support a venue that would be able to do the kind of high fidelity representation of their product, I guess is the best way to describe it. And we'd recently spent quite a bit of money on a PA system, which is why there was no money left for microphones.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's sort of how the relationship started. And then I guess they gave us a really generous selection of microphones, and in return for that I just sort of tried really hard to make sure that they got benefit from that, so made sure they were used as often as possible, made sure
they got the representation, talk to everybody,
the whole sort of which I now hate as a result, but the whole sort of process of shouting about it on social media and all that kind of stuff, which I think I've burnt myself out on and would rather never do another social media post if I can get away with it.
It's so hard. But, it's hard to keep up with it, man. I started vigorously as well, and now it's like, but
So and then I guess through that process, I built a really strong relationship with the guys at Sound Network, and started doing more work for them as the end of my Union Chappel days came closer, to them offering me a sort of more permanent position when I left Union Chappel.
That's great, man.
And that was essentially at the time when DPA bought Sound Network and it became a division of DPA.
All right.
So spent a year and a bit working full time essentially for Sound Network / DPA, which is very informative. And I think like the best benefit I think I've had from that whole process is, quite often as an engineer, you approach a gig as, there's the music that's happening there and there's my mixing desk and I need to make it work on my mixing desk. And we don't really think necessarily, obviously this is a broad generalization, but we don't necessarily think about all the steps in between the music and the console that can have quite a sort of serious impact on what you can achieve. So learning a lot more about microphone technology and things like distortion and phase distortion and how all of that impacts. And then I've just I started realizing that all the issues I've ever had with my mixers in certain circumstances had nothing to do with my ability to operate a console or the ability of the band to deliver what
something as simple as mic placement.
It's something as simple as mic placement and the right choice of microphone for the job. Probably as when we started, there wasn't a broad selection of microphones. You got
bunch of Sures.
Exactly. Yeah. And not to knock them, they're great microphones for their applications, and they've get me out of trouble more often than not. So that diversity in what's available in that area between front of house and the music is that opened my eyes to a lot of that. And now, I swear by DPA. I'll use DPA on everything if I could. But, they're quite pricey, so often you can't. It solves, to a certain extent, it almost makes me a lazier sound engineer on one side of it, because I've got a microphone that provides me with an input signal at my console that I don't need to think too much about the EQ on it or anything like that. So there is that process of if you're not careful, de-skilling in terms of your ability to spot frequency and solve issues on that side of things. But ultimately, my mixes are a lot more stable, a lot fuller, and closer to what I want them to be, because I'm not hacking things to shreds to try and get it all fit together. So
well, and hopefully it's sort of reinforced your belief in yourself, knowing that those things weren't your fault. If we can just go back to there are so many elements that are involved. Not even just in a personal or a like a mental sort of state, but there are so many other things that are involved. Totally. There can be a ground loop in the building that you've got no control over. You might have a noisy coffee machine or an air conditioning duct above you, or above the stage even. Not all venues are great venues.
No.
So, and then you go away from that and you take it really hard and personal, and you can't sleep for a week. And you're like, what did I do? How did I do? But I think what is super, super important as well, on the flip side of thinking about and reflecting on the bad things that you did or the fuck-ups that you made, is also taking away the good things and being able to give yourself praise. Or even one of the hardest things is to accept compliments. It's really difficult, and that's even a learned skill, and something that I noticed the other day. I was editing one of my podcasts, and somebody had given me a compliment, and I just sort of batted it away. And I thought, that's not nice, because if I give somebody a compliment and they do the same, I feel like, oh, okay, all right. It's kind of this guy,
It's kind of an awkward situation, isn't it? Like, by batting it away, you're sort of being humble and modest, and but at the same time, you could offend the compliment giver. Your compliment isn't good enough, I guess, to a certain extent. I've never thought of it that way.
So it's definitely something I guess we need to work on.
I'm a master at the compliment blocker.
6 gone out the field. And bye bye.
We'll have none of that here, thank you.
No, unless you say something bad about me, shut your fucking mouth. Okay?
Exactly.
No, it is but it's we're on this journey, and it's not done until it's done, and every day is a learning opportunity.
Totally.
The best one I've always heard is it's not a problem, it's a solution opportunity.
That's brilliant. I'm going to use that.
So we're just striving to get ourselves better. And so you did the DPA thing, and now you're on tour with Charlie.
So I did that for a while. As it turns out, which I probably should have known already, being in full-time employment and having lost the illusion of not being my own boss, didn't really sit that well with me. But I gave it a solid shot and sort of said I would do it for a year. Did it for about 16 months, I think. Learned a lot in the process and in the build up to that. And still involved with them in terms of doing training for them and running workshops and producing video content for them, and which is great. I get to record bands with DPA mics,
fantastic
stuff like that, which is awesome, and still keeps me learning new things every day.
Nice, man.
Did that. Also through Sound Network, got into the onto RF through the Sony digital wireless systems, and that's been a sort of very steep, complicated learning curve, learning about RF, which by no stretch of the imagination a master at yet. But I'm less fearful of it, which is, I think, a good place to start figuring out problems on the RF side of things.
You should check out the Darren De La Soul right on here. She's got a Soul Sound.
Soul Sounds,
Yeah. She just did a 3-day RF training thing with a guy called Diego Nunez.
Okay.
I think he's like an RF specialist in Spain.
Yeah.
Does a lot of TV, MotoGP, sports events and all these things. I believe there might be some of the videos and stuff that's online now on their website. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah,
I mean, because RF is such a, we were talking about it yesterday as well, where you can't, a lot of people still think, just use the spare channels, just use what's free.
Yeah.
And you don't understand, when during sound check time, it might be fine.
Yeah. But
come 6 o'clock when the doors open, the theater across the road's doors are also open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can pick up a fucking taxi controller or something like that.
Yeah.
So RF is a very important thing and very complicated.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for
don't think I ever
that.
necessarily want to be an RF expert or have RF to be the thing that I do. I like audio. I like mixing shows. I like that's the side of things that I want to be working on. But it's the ultimately is your input channel quite a lot of the time, and if you lose that, you've lost it everywhere.
It could cost your show.
Yeah, exactly. So having something that's that critical and being in the position where I go like, oh fuck it, that'll do, is just not acceptable. So
that'll do, won't do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just making sure I am in a position where I know how to fix problems there and know how to set it up so that those problems don't arise is what I'm trying to achieve on that
Fantastic.
front. And it's a great sounding wireless system, as are all the others. And essentially, once you understand one, you can understand them all, apart from the buttons are in different places. And
yeah, true.
So that's sort of that side of things, trying to keep that running, doing the training on various products in different parts of the audio industry to sort of maintain my ability to learn new things.
Nice, man.
And then keeping the freelance stuff happening. That also, fortunately for me, gives me money when I'm not on tour, so I don't have to go and do something else.
Nice.
So I can afford to be on tour with a band that I love working with, rather than having to be with a band who will pay me 50 quid more a day, or whatever it works out to be.
Great.
So keeps the books balanced essentially, which is leaves me in a sort of relatively comfortable place, and hopefully once every 2 years take a holiday, and
That's right, man. Just for 5 days though.
Just for 5 days.
Yeah. I find that if I go away for more than 5 days, two things happen.
Yeah.
I start getting fidgety.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I know I'm supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And I start, when I come back, I'm fucking nervous.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why, because as soon as I start pushing buttons, I'm like, all right, I know this.
Yeah.
I've done this.
Yeah.
But that initial just sort of, and then before the first show starts, the butterflies.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I get those anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably, somebody told me that it's because you care.
Yeah.
And I do.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to fuck it up, not for, those three elements that I said before.
Yeah.
And so, it's essential to keep at it. No, holidays good. We got to do it, man. We got to do it. It's I'm so guilty of not doing that. I mean, I send the family away on holiday. They go on holiday.
Yeah.
But I'll come and join you for 2 days here or 3 days there.
Yeah.
And we got to take a bit more time for us.
Absolutely.
Really,
I think it's probably something that comes with age. I spent most of my career just not necessarily having hobbies or doing anything else other than like audio was my hobby, and also what I did for a living kind of thing. So being completely immersed in it for so long, now at a point where actually I want to learn how to shoot a bow and arrow. For instance, I want to do something else. I want to have something else that I can
break away from.
Yeah, exactly. And traveling is great. I love going somewhere, eating the food.
Yeah, man. Immersing yourself.
Yeah. But I'm the same. Like 5 days in, I'm fidgety. I've done, I think probably the longest holiday I've done is about 6 weeks. And you get this beautiful moment, sort of like 2.5, 3 weeks in, where you stop being fidgety, and then you get like you get 2 weeks of calm, and then you start getting fidgety again.
Yeah, so. You're like, right, holiday's about to end.
Yeah. So
wow, I can't remember the last time I had a 6-week holiday.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. Because if I could do that every year, I would.
God, so, man, just go somewhere and
go. Yeah.
Go camp out.
I never did the backpacking thing when I was in my early 20s. So I guess it's like a
gap year.
Yeah, gap year.
Have you seen that video on YouTube?
No.
Oh my God! It's go and check it out. Yeah. Gap year. It's a gap year YAH.
Okay, yeah.
Just check it out.
Cool.
It is going to provide hours of entertainment.
Yeah, and possibly inspiration for my next holiday.
My God. Well, I don't know about that, mate, but it's just to parody. It's funny. Yeah. Great, man. Cool. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for coming down.
You too, man. Thanks for doing this, and it's an awesome thing. And glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. We will be putting all the links to the training, your social media, the bands that you play with. I'll put that in the description afterwards.
Nice one.
And we'll get the word out there.
Lovely.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Nice
See you. Bye. Right. Well, there we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I have. It was great catching up with Les and sharing some stories with him. I will be sharing the links to his training website, carnosound.com, to Charlie Cunningham. You can find out about tour dates and what they're up to, and some of the social media of Les. As always, I'll be sharing my social media as well on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You're welcome to follow me there and find out what I'm up to. I have a Patreon page where you can help and support me there with one of our regular donations. It is it is patreon.com/HeySoundGuy, and you can help me there. As always, like, share, subscribe, get the word out there. Thank you.